Hi, my name is Ari Pratap, and I'm a junior double majoring in information sciences and data science.
Hi there. I'm Rodney White, and I'm currently a senior, majoring in information sciences.
We have a third teammate, and her name is Dorothy, and she'll be introducing herself later. Our project is Cube Client Scoping, and this is our project plan. And we worked for Cube Business and Engineering Consulting, which is a nonprofit student-run consulting organization here at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. And we're going to first walk through our project plan and then go into our project report, detailing our thought process and roadmap of completing our project from start to finish. So, starting with our product vision statement, we broke it down into the target customers, the needs of our project and our product, the product name, our product category, the benefits of the product that it would be once it's implemented into our client's system, and the competitors and some differentiations and value propositions, and identifying strategy to see how we could create a competitive boost and edge for our client. So for this project specifically, for prospective clients within Cube Consulting, we wanted to ensure that we're able to increase the number of clients and students that they're able to target and garner across the Champaign-Urbana area. And one of the ways that we wanted to target this was by ensuring that their website was able to gain more traction overall. And because currently their UI UX website revamping design needed to be revamped a bit. And I think a lot of the steps that we use and a lot of the tools that we utilize were able to help achieve that goal. And we'll go into an in-depth process of that later. But client scoping is a client scoping application that will allow local businesses to input their business needs in the software to allow consulting organizations on campus, across Research Park, and businesses across the Chicagoland area to gain student traction and see if they could work with student consultants to increase their overall business trajectory, whether that's in the business domain, engineering domain, or design domain. And our entire end goal from this project was to ensure that we're able to increase traction from these clients and customers and students to see if they're able to deliver higher quality results for Cube Consulting. This was our timeline that we created. We broke it down into from week 9 to week 16 and onto specific tools that we utilize, which we'll go into more details in our project report. iMessage was one of the platforms that we used for our group to discuss the progress and ideas, and we'll go into a breakdown of how we did that. We utilized Google Drive to put our weekly updates when it was at the start of the week and midweek too, to make sure that we're able to work on an individual and collaborative level and see each other's progress and check in collaboratively too, to make sure that everyone has the autonomy to do their own, individual project goals throughout every week while we work together in a collaborative way to make sure that we're holding each other accountable to complete each deliverable. And we Flask and Python are tools that Cube will be using down the road, but what we used to create our prototype was Figma, which is a UI UX website design software that we'll go into more detail in our project report. And Rodney will now talk about the project documents, and he will talk about the agile approach that we utilized.
Thank you. So yeah, as Arya mentioned, we did go with the agile approach instead of the waterfall approach, and we had like a couple reasons for taking that approach. I won't go like into the details of that, but as far as the agile approach goes, for our user story documentation, essentially, if you were a business owner, you'd want like a straightforward process to sign up on our client scoping application. So that would be sharing essential details about the business needs, and you'd also want the ability to easily manage the profile, updating information as needed, and this would like ensure like a pretty smooth and like seamless personalized experience throughout the collaboration with like the student consultants and like the consulting organizations such as Q. And as a consulting organization, i.e. Q, you'd want a user-friendly list of potential clients on client scoping. And for that, you would need like filters to essentially like quickly find clients matching expertise and interests. And once those are identified, you'd want like a simplified way to express like interest and like start communication for that. And this would ensure like efficiently discovering and engaging with the clients that align with what our capabilities are. And like we have many capabilities, mainly dealing with like UX and such. And as a user, you want to use a smart matching system that considers client needs and organization skills. and the system should suggest matches based on industry, project scope, and required skills. And you also want real time notifications for potential matches, ensuring quick communication and collaboration. And this feature would enhance like the application's efficiency, fostering timely connections between clients and consulting organizations. And if we move on, now we can get to the conceptual data model, which is listed here. So if you look, the relationships is basically one user can have zero or one client profile. One user can have zero or one consulting organization profile. One client can have multiple projects, and you got one consulting organization can have multiple projects, or one project involves one client and one consulting organization. As you can see, the user table, they can possess multiple skills, and the users can associate with multiple skills through user skills. So essentially, like this basic entity relationship diagram kind of outlines the relationship between, of course, the users, clients, consulting organizations, projects, and skills in the client scoping application. Um, yep, we can move on from there to the non-functional requirements. So first will be performance, of course. So you want the application to respond to user requests promptly, and you want the application to be able to handle a large number of concurrent users. And this is important because the entire point of like this process was to get more engagement on the website. So you need to be able to handle that new load that should be like projected to be on the website. And of course, you need security. Security is always like that number one priority that everybody's not really thinking about, but it's like it should be in the back of everyone's head. So the application should use like a secure authentication mechanism to protect user data, because you're going to have like a lot of different people using this website. And the application should restrict access to sensitive data based on user roles. Of course, the application should encrypt all sensitive data at rest and in transit. And we have like a couple methods for that. And as far as usability goes, this just goes back into the UX design and such. The application should be easy to use and navigate. So like any buttons, if you need to click, you want to navigate back to home, you want to have that button right there on the front screen or something in the top right corner. Um, Also, the application should be accessible to users with disabilities, and it should be available in multiple languages. So, we're just trying to foster an inclusive environment. And as far as reliability goes, the application should be highly available and should not experience downtime. So this kind of goes hand in hand with like performance, in my opinion, because if you want more users again on your website, you want to make sure the website is actually working, because if your website isn't working, people aren't going to use it, and it's just not going to be like a good experience for the user. And also, the application should be able to recover from failures gracefully and without data loss. Um, and the application should have a disaster recovery plan in place to ensure business continuity in the event of a major outage. I think that's a really important one, because, like, uh, even with like the smallest mishaps, like you never know when like an application will crash. And if you don't have like a disaster recovery plan in place of that, like let's say one of the servers are down, that could be really bad in terms of reliability. And again, that impedes on the user's performance and reliability. And it's just not a good user experience. And now I'm going to hand it back to Aria so she can talk about exercise two for the team experience.
Yeah, thank you, Rodney. Onto our team experience, we first started off with describing how the three of us broke down the project. And so starting with going into client scoping, we first decided to delegate the tasks based off of each of our own strengths. And I had connections with this consulting organization to begin with, so I was able to reach out to them and identify what their most pressing need was at this given time. And they were able to identify that, they needed some UI UX, website revamping help. And so I was able to reach out to them, contact them, and we worked together as a team to ensure that we're able to meet with them first individually to understand what their expectations and needs were, and to come up with a project scope and project plan to see how we could tackle that problem that they were enduring and create a timeline for them that would work on both of our ends, and see how we could continuously revamp that timeline to accommodate to our clients' ever-changing needs while making sure that we're able to meet to our strict deadlines and goals. And so I help with mostly like the client identification and making sure that we're able to have our meetings on as often as possible with our client to make sure that they were satisfied with the progress of our work and our goals were still being expected and communicated efficiently. And Dorothy worked on creating the prototype from scratch using Figma, which is a collaborative web application software, and it helps with UI UX website revamping. So what we did is we utilized the current Cube Consulting website, and then we translated that onto the Figma prototype platform to see how we could implement those changes using that mock prototype and seeing how we could compare the before and afters and show that to our client on as often as possible for every meeting that we had, and seeing if they were happy with the progress that we were making and seeing how implementable those changes could be, once this project is done, and if they're able to implement that with their own design team that they have in place. And Rodney helped with implementing and helping Cube Consulting implement Flask and Python tools down the road when we do have to actually implement these changes that were used on the Figma prototype. And these are different softwares that will be used by Cube. And because he's had experience using these different tools, he was able to kind of lead them down that path and teaching the design committee to see how they could utilize that software and kind of transition into their current UI UX website into the new prototype that we're able to create. And as Rodney mentioned before, we did create and follow an agile approach just because it was the most flexible based off of our project scope and given the circumstances of how we had to complete this project within a few months. So I think what was best about the agile approach was the flexibility in terms of the three of us being able to identify our strengths and working as a team to identify that first, and then working at the start of every week to make sure that we're able to have goals laid out in place that all of us had to complete by the end of the week, and also having midweek check-ins to make sure that we're able to hold each other accountable and we're able to be there for each other and help each other with any questions that we may have about the progress that we've been making. So I think through the agile approach, we're able to keep a project plan in place while making sure that it was flexible enough for our client to also, change expectations and needs and deliverables over time, while ensuring that we're still able to not go down the project or have project creeping going on or project scope creeping going on, while ensuring that we're able to meet these certain goals and deadlines while ensuring that there's still flexibility for our client if they wanted to change certain goals and deadlines along the way. And once again, going on to the tools that we utilize iMessage, Google Drive, Flask, Python, GitHub, and Figma as our main tools. These were mostly tools for communication, for software development, and implementing our documents on a weekly basis to see, do check-ins to make sure that we're able to meet the deadlines that we had to. And we also use Zoom a lot to make sure that we're able to have those team meetings outside of class as well. And once again, going back to the agile project management approach, I think one of the best reasons about it was because of its easy to shift iterative approach and being able to meet those ever-changing requirements. And I remember one of the questions was if we'd go back, would we change this approach? And I think not, because I think the agile approach is just so efficient and effective in making sure that we're able to meet our clients' expectations and needs while keeping it an open and flexible route of pathway for what we want to accomplish in terms of project scope and deadlines. Onto the client experience. So currently, Cube Consulting has various types of systems in place. They have multiple committees. They have a design committee, a project acquisition committee. They have a human resources committee, but our project was specifically related to the design committee. And they were using a multitude of different softwares in order to maintain their website over time. But I think by implementing our prototype on Figma, we were able to show them how they could transition from those prototype implementations into their actual website and see the potential increase in traction from specific clients within the Chicagoland area or Champaign-Urbana area, and also students as well. And I think for a majority of the time, the client was very easy to work with, especially because it's a student-run consulting organization. We didn't really have problems with communication or miscommunication or like meeting certain deadlines and goals. I think it was it was a very seamless process, and we're able to communicate our goals and understand their goals effectively and efficiently as well. And by the end, the client was very satisfied with our work, and they were very willing to actually implement some of the changes that we created on our prototype using Figma, and being able to translate those Figma prototypes into their actual website. And hopefully down the road, that will mean an increase in traction from the consultant and client perspective as well. But yeah, that is pretty much it on the client perspective of things. I'll be passing it off to Rodney again to discuss team member reflections on the systems analysis and design.
Thanks, Aria. So as far as the team members' reflection and system analysis goes, Aria had previously no experience with system analysis and design before, and because of like her direct relationship with the consulting organization, I think that really I think that really helped her to gain like a better understanding of the entire process from start to finish, since she was like involved with both the user and the client, which is uh, pretty interesting in my opinion. And it pretty much it actually was the reason like the way the Cube Consulting like project went in the direction that it went, because we had like that extra like set of eyes and ears to help on the project. Like she was with both user and a client, which is interesting because that's like not normally how it goes. Um, and she was very important in finding out what the potential client and the consulting company needed. And in the design phase, Arya used like the information she had gathered to make a detailed plan for the client scoping application would work. And of course, as she talked about the agile approach, we used that to make changes to the project as they went, which was good. Um, let's see, something's being highlighted. Okay, yeah. Anyways, Dorothy also didn't have any. Our other team member, she also didn't have any experience with system analysis before. So her role was to, she was really like through with the actual like prototype using Figma and such, as Aria stated earlier. So it was really her job to talk to the people involved with the project, to really see like how the current website is, to see how can we improve it with the prototype that she was creating. Um, and that there was like really that was vital to really learning how like the system analysis process goes, because as you know, of course, there's the agile approach and the waterfall approach. And in my opinion, and I believe my team opinions as well, the agile approach is just so much better because you can make like iterative change iterative I can't say, you can make changes as you go, instead of like the waterfall approach where there's like main problems that come down the line once you just have everything like set in stone. And me, I'm Rodney White. I previously had like some consulting experience at PwC, so I kind of was familiar with the agile approach. When I worked at PwC, we worked with like our client was Eli Lilly, pharmaceutical company, and there I was pretty much like a technology consultant. So I wasn't really on the business side of things. I was more on like similar to how we were doing with the UX. I was more on like the technical side, like the architect end. So I mainly helped creating like their actual infrastructure. They were creating like this data modeling app that helped him pretty much model like the clinical trials that they were conducting. So that was a really it was a really interesting process actually, because you had to formulate different areas where like clinical trials would be taking place versus like where they've already done clinical trials, and then you have to compare it to where the future trials will be held. And that's just because like you want to go to where you had success, but you don't want to go to that same exact region, because then like the data will be like skewed in like a biased way. So that's kind of my experience with system analysis and design and like the waterfall approach. And it was helpful with this because I made sure like it was the user stories were better since I had like experience in the industry, and you know, just to make sure like the client scoping application was something that the organization can actually use and not just like something good in theory. Um, and that concludes my part. Our next portion is going to be Dorothy. She's going to go over the prototype.
Thank you so much, Arya and Rodney. Before we go over our prototype, there's a couple of things that you mentioned. You might notice that there's a pause between Rodney part and my part, which that the reason is from the as you can see later, the prototype actually required a full screen, and by have our face out might block some of the potential feature that will be omitting by those photos before like we helping them design the new one. This is how it look like. You can see that I have like that statement here and the application information. So now let's go back to our current prototype that we were talking to them, as Arya and Rodney were mentioned that this project we use Agile, so we have been in contact with Q Consulting by helping them design new website at the same time, also get feedback on them on this prototype we're working. So to start off, you can see that we have a header for every, it will be for every pages we have that include the logo, the name, the vision, and also different pages that can lead into. For example, so this is the first, for example, in the about page, this is starting by instead of you mentioned, as you see in the previous one, this is the vision statement, but now they want to highlight the experience of the people in there, which is more targeted into a student who want to participate in keep consulting. You can see they have picture here, and like they're like what they're enjoying about it. As you can see that the picture is actually not included in there. This is because we have requested from Q2 actually not um using the actual person or the actual company logo in terms of designing, because they want to keep those private, but at the same time we have access to those, but help them determining how would we organize them. We know how many how many students are in the org, we know how many clients have been working with, but we only they're here to help them design those. So if we keep scrolling down after the member, we can see the recruitment timeline, and if we scroll down we can see should apply, and we also highlight the key factor that we will be using. And if you scroll down, these are like more frequently asked questions. We can see that in the first page, they were more highlighted on student, their target audience is student. Yes, and this is like practice case, for example, which is something that if you're a student and participate in Q consulting, you will be getting after participating in. And at the bottom, as I mentioned about the heading and the 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 bottom right here, like it's the format for every pages that will include good consulting and the information that people can refer to. And one of the thing that is like added in here is subscription button that like you can enter email and submit it. Now we'll go to the second page, which is the service. We can also click here at the bottom, that will link directly to that part. So here's the service. You can also click here if you're in a main page. And now if we scroll down, this one is primarily focused on the client, the actual client, the Cube Consulting. As you can see, like each page just have their own target audience. Now it's the Cube Consulting. The picture I was getting from is not from direct from Cube, but from the online sources that is open source and also free to use. So if you keep scrolling down, this is like they have like this is their service, and now they are like mentioned who are their clients. And if you keep scrolling down, you can see that this is like the grid thingy. The grid thing is not about, it's not just like there for like the flow of it, but it is where we like each color represent like each company. So this one will be like company, for example, Alfie that we're working with them. We put all the logos like of the Champlain County and other company that have been using Keep Consulting service to highlight that in the previous website it is the tab here that you can just scroll and see those, but now you just put everything together to highlight how Cube have been like playing a role in the society and helping in terms of engineering consulting. If you keep scrolling down, these are the three main section in Cube Consulting, which is business engineering and design, which is something that they very highlighted. And if you just keep scrolling down, like all these things are also linked to each other. If I click first of all engineering, it will go directly to the engineering portion. These are more in details compared to the things compared to the part above here, because now like we want to show this is the highlight of the Cube Consulting. But if you keep scrolling down, first of all, like business or engineering, you can see that there are like more and more information in there just for the customer, which is like the company that need help to understand what they all have been helping different state of their business, while also by at the same time they are giving the experience and opportunity for skill consulting student to practice on the real world scenario. Now we go through the design, that's it, and now let's get started. Let's get started is the button that will if it in a real scenario, it will prompt you into different form for them to do. Now, if we keep now for the next page is the oh, I forget to mention that if you can see keep consulting here, it actually direct you to the top of the each page. Now that it pop up here to like our service button, now we can click on oh, excuse me, I think now click on contact us. I think there's quick error here. Apologies for the technical issue now, but if we go up here, you want to do like the contact us page. This contact us page is both for like student who want to join Keep Consulting, but at the time or the client for them to get in contact. You can see here they include two main specific information. The first one is contact info. If you're a student and you probably know where Secure Library is, you can also pay them in person and talk to them on like your interest in here and how were you able to contribute that. Or you can look here, as you can see here, this is like a direct form that you can fill information out, which is include like whether you're like what type you are, you're like student, who are you a business owner, what's your name, email, and message that you want to talk to Keep Consulting, and you can click send here, which also send the information to the database that we will be creating using Plaque and Python as both Arya and Rodney mentioned about getting into the software to get working. And here this and at the very end is also the same thing as the rest of the pages. Now if we click on Cube Consulting, it will very up here and we can go back to Cube Consulting, and it is mainly our prototype that we've been helping them by categorizing each pieces according to the target audiences they have, so that in with that case so that they can tailor more toward different audience that they have, but at the same time also make it more easier for people with different perspective, with different specific goal to be able to tackle those. And here are our prototype we've been working with them, and in the future, as Ronnie mentioned, that we will be helping with them with his experience to helping creating fast using fast and Python to create an algorithm website that also connect to the database. Thank you.